Mara had never liked silence. All her life, she'd chosen the bustle of the city, the constant thrum of cars, the chatter of neighbors through thin apartment walls, the steady hum of life that never stopped. Noise was comfort. Noise meant people. Noise meant she wasn't alone. But after her grandmother's death, Mara inherited the old Victorian house that stood on the edge of a quiet town, and though her heart hesitated, her mind told her it was the right thing to do. Sell it? No. Leave it empty. Wasteful. Live in it. Scary. But practical. It was huge, valuable, and filled with family history. So, with reluctant determination, Mara packed her things and left the city for the looming, shadow-draped mansion. The house was 3 stories tall, narrow, and elegant, in the way old homes were. Its towers jutted toward the sky, its windows wide and dark, reflecting nothing. The townsfolk spoke of it in whispers. Children crossed the street rather than walked past it. Some swore they saw flickers of light inside when no one was home. Others claimed they'd heard faint music drifting from the attic long after midnight. But to Mara, it was just wood and stone, dusty, cracked, and too quiet but nothing more. Or so she thought. Her first night inside the house was filled with restless unease. Every creak of the floorboards echoed through the walls. Every sigh of wind through the shutters sounded like a whisper too close to her ear. By dinner, she told herself it was nothing, just nerves. She cooked pasta, poured a glass of wine, and set a single plate at the long dining table. She left for the kitchen to fetch napkins. When she returned, her heart stopped. 2 plates, 2 glasses, 2 sets of silverware, neatly arranged, as though someone had set a place for themselves across from her. Mara stood frozen, napkins clutched in her fist. She laughed nervously, though it came out brittle and thin. Habit, she muttered. I must have done it without realizing. But deep down, she knew she hadn't. Still, she removed the extra plate and shoved it back into the cupboard, forcing herself to eat in silence. That night, she dreamed of sitting across from a faceless figure at the table. Watching her, the second day, brought no peace. As the pale morning light filtered through the stained glass windows, Mara heard a sound that froze her blood. Creaking, slow, rhythmic, like a rocking chair. She followed it upstairs to the old nursery. Her grandmother had never touched this room after her children grew. The rocking chair in the corner swayed back and forth. Back and forth. The windows were shut tight. No breeze entered. Her throat was dry as she whispered, "Stop." And it did. The chair stilled instantly. The silence after was heavier than before. That night, she dreamed again. This time, she was in bed, her door locked, when the handle began to turn. Slowly, patiently. She woke with a start. Her door stood wide open. She remembered locking it. She always locked it. Her pulse thundered, and then she heard it. Cough from the hallway. Not deep, not ghostly. Human. Close. She stayed awake until dawn, every light in her room burning. By the 3rd day, Mara's nerves were fraying. She told herself she was imagining things. That grief and loneliness were playing tricks on her. But then she found her phone in a different room than where she had left it. Her toothbrush moved from the sink to the counter. The fridge door stood open when she was sure she had closed it. Tiny things. Things she might have done and forgotten. Except, on the counter, was a half-empty glass of water. She hadn't poured it. The house no longer felt like hers. It felt inhabited. By what? She didn't know. Ghosts? Her grandmother's spirit? Something else. All Mara knew was that the silence of the house no longer felt empty. It felt occupied. The 4th night was worse. Mara had stopped sleeping properly. Every creak, every sigh of the house made her sit upright, heart racing. Her coffee mug stacked in the sink. Her eyes carried purple shadows. She told herself she was fine. She told herself she was strong. But the house whispered otherwise. That evening, She sat in the living room, forcing herself to read. The silence pressed against her skull, making the words blur. She closed the book and listened. That's when she heard it. A floorboard groaned above her. She froze. The sound of footsteps, moving slowly across the upstairs hall. Her body tensed, every muscle rigid. Then silence. Minutes passed. She swallowed hard, her throat dry. Finally, gathering courage, she crept upstairs. The hall stretched long and dim, shadows clinging to the wallpaper. Nothing. Empty. Her own footsteps seemed louder than they should have been. And then, her bedroom door stood open. She had left it closed. She remembered. She stepped inside, her chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. On her pillow lay a single strand of hair, not hers. Darker. Longer. Her knees nearly gave out. The fifth night, she barricaded her door, a chair wedged beneath the knob. Heavy boxers stacked against the wood. She curled beneath her blanket, whispering, "Safe. I'm safe. Nothing can get in." She forced herself into an easy sleep, but she woke in the dead of night. The barricade still in place, the chair unmoved. And yet, her door was open. Just an inch, but enough. She couldn't breathe. On her desk was a glass of water. Half empty, condensation dripping down its side. Fresh. By morning, Mara was unraveling. Her hair tangled. Her hands trembled. She jumped at every sound. She wandered the kitchen, muttering to herself, trying to hold on to reason. Maybe it was sleepwalking. Maybe she was losing her mind. But then she noticed the bread. 3 slices missing. She hadn't eaten them. Her fridge. Half a carton of milk gone. Someone was eating her food. Her stomach turned as she whispered, "No, no, no, no." The house wasn't haunted. It was inhabited. That night, she dreamed again. She dreamed of lying in bed. Unable Tomoba, the door creaked open. A shadow slipped inside, crawling toward her. She tried to scream, but no sound came. The shadow leaned close, its breath hot on her face, and it whispered, "You're not alone." She jolted awake, drenched in sweat. Her bedroom door. Wide open, the boxers and chairs shoved neatly aside, as if someone had taken care not to wake her. By the 6th day, Mara was unraveling. Her reflection in the bathroom mirror looked like a stranger. Hollow eyes, pale skin, hands that trembled even when still. She barely ate. She barely slept. Every room in the house felt watched. She stopped showering with the door closed, stopped sitting with her back to windows. And when the coughing came again that night, drifting down the hallway like a rasping breath, Mara broke. She couldn't take it anymore. She called Evelyn. Evelyn arrived the next afternoon. The medium was a tall woman with long gray hair that shimmered like silver threads. Her eyes, sharp and unblinking, studied Mara with quiet pity. The old woman carried sage, candles, and crystals. She moved through the house slowly, muttering prayers in a language Mara didn't recognize. The dining room, the nursery, the kitchen. Up the stairs. Weed-arch room, Evelyn's face grew grimmer, her steps heavier, until, finally, she stopped at the top of the landing. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Her eyes flicked to Mara, and a voice soft, but shaking said the words Mara would never forget. "There are no spirits here. You're not haunted." Mara's breath caught. "Then what?" Evelyn's voice dropped lower, barely more than a whisper. "You're being watched. Someone is living here. With you." Mara's knees weakened, her mouth opened, but no words came. She wanted to scream, to laugh, to deny it. But deep down, something in her already knew. Evelyn touched her arm gently. You must be careful. This is not the work of the dead. Densa left her footsteps fading into silence, leaving Mara trembling in a house that suddenly felt smaller and infinitely more dangerous. By nightfall, Mara's fear became fury. She stormed through the house, yanking open closets, throwing open cupboards. She tore apart the basement, searched the garage, every corner, every shadow. Nothing. But something kept tugging at her mind. The attic. Her grandmother had always forbidden her to play there as a child. It's unsafe, she used to say. Stay out. Mara climbed to the stairs, her flashlight trembling in her hand. The attic smelled of dust and decay. Boxes of old clothes, photo albums, forgotten furniture. But in the far corner stood a wardrobe, pushed tight against the wall. Its outline was wrong, slightly crooked, as if hiding something. Her heart hammered as she dragged it aside. Behind it, the wallboard was loose. C'est poulet. The wood gave way with a sharp creak, revealing a narrow, hidden door, barely big enough to crawl through. Her throat tightened. With shaking hands, she pushed it open. Darkness spilled out like ink. She crawled inside. The crawl space was suffocatingly small. The ceiling so low she had to crouch. Her flashlight beam swept across the space, and her stomach twisted. Blankets, pillows, empty food wrappers, plastic bottles, a nest. A place someone had been living. The air was thick with the smell of sweat, of breath. And then her light caught something else. A notebook, sitting on a crate like a shrine. She picked it up with trembling hands and flipped through the pages. Her own handwriting did not stare back. Instead, cramped, jagged words, descriptions, observations of her. She eats at 7:30. She hums when she showers. She locks her door. But I know how to open it. Her vision blurred. The entries continued. She cried, "Tonight." I almost comforted her. She looks beautiful in red. She thinks the house is haunted. Perfect. Her stomach churned. The words swam before her eyes. Then she turned to the final entry. The ink was still wet. She finally called someone. I'll have to be careful tonight. She still hasn't realized. I'm writing this from inside her room. The notebook slipped from Mara's hands. Her pulse roared in her ears. Her chest heaved with ragged breaths. She turned her flashlight around the crawl space, suddenly certain she wasn't alone. Every shadow seemed to move. Every corner seemed to breathe. Then a sound. From behind her, the creak of the attic stairs. Slow, deliberate. The hidden door creaked shut. Click. Darkness swallowed her. Her flashlight shook violently in her hands. Footsteps. Soft. Careful. Drawing closer. Mara, a whisper. Not from the walls. Not from a spirit. But from a living throat. Her blood ran cold. She pressed herself against the wall, her breath shallow, trying not to scream. Her flashlight flickered, and in that flicker she saw him. A man, crouched in the corner, eyes wide. Smiles stretched too far. Hair matted, clothes filthy, watching her. Waiting. His voice rasped, low and gleeful. I told you, you're not alone. The flashlight died. The crawl space plunged into total black, and the last sound Mara heard before her scream tore the silence was the shuffle of knees, crawling toward her. Closer. 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 The silent guest had finally stepped into the light.